T-minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
I'm supposed to be the franchise player, and we're in here talking about practice. I mean, listen, we talking about practice. Not a game, not a game, not a game. We talking about practice. Not a game, not a game.
Me. Bam, bam. Me, man.
Not a game.
Slap that like she scored 30.
What are we even talking about, man? We talking about sports here.
Welcome back. We talking about sports podcast. It's just me and Roland this morning. Ben and Ron part of that fiesta going on last night. And Ben, you said a lot of things on Thursday's podcast saying it's a guarantee you're going to be here. You were talking.
It was a guarantee. It was that Joe Namath.
Yeah, he was talking. I went 3-0 last Sunday. I have to go get on. I got to show everybody what's up. Ben, where you at, buddy? We miss you.
Oh, we miss you, man. But we're here. We're holding down the fort for We Talking About Sports. It's Sunday morning. It's week 11. You know, for fantasy football, it's getting down to the nitty-gritty. For the real-life NFL, it's getting down to the nitty-gritty, too. These are must-win games for a lot of teams. And we're also seeing some teams, pack it in and get ready to go for the offseason and probably looking towards the draft already.
Roland, before we start, there was a big boxing event last night, welterweight championship. Terrence Crawford and Sean Porter. What a fight, guys. Crawford finds a way to do it again in the later rounds. He seems to be untouchable. The fight to make, again, him versus Earl Spence. I think that's what goes on next. Roland, do you see another opponent for him?
No, not really. I mean, I think Earl Spence, that fight was supposed to happen maybe a year or two ago. Him and Crawford, it looked like the stars were aligning finally. They were both getting past their respective opponents at the time, and it looked like it was going to line up. But then, of course, that tragic car accident happened with Earl Spence. And thankfully, he's seemed to have fully recovered. He won his comeback fight. I don't know how many fights he's had back exactly. I'm not I don't follow boxing on a day-to-day, but I do know he's had a comeback fight and looked good in that. So
he actually has fought Sean Porter in the time being. So both of them, do a little boxing math, have a fight against Sean Porter.
Yeah, there you go. So that's the fight that everybody's wanted to see for some time now. I'm glad we're going to get it. Looks like both guys are in their prime. I was asking you before I got into my take, is Bud Crawford, is he your pound for pound?
And I don't want to be like a recency bias kind of guy, but how do you not put Bud Crawford pound for pound? I know a lot of people want to put Canelo up there, but Crawford's fighting bigger names in a way because Canelo's kind of pick and choosing his opponents. Yeah. Granted, you can't take away what he did unifying a division within a year, but he only had, 2 fights to do that because the belts were being held by 2 guys. I would love to see somewhere at like 154 if they could meet, him and Canelo, but I don't know if Canelo wants to go down. It feels like he's trying to go up. I heard cruiserweight was his next weight class that he wants to go at.
And so, like, my whole thing with Crawford and it just being maybe a casual boxing follower, because that's what I would identify myself as. I'm not the most avid guy when it comes to boxing, but I do know enough. And kind of what I've seen from Crawford is he has the record. He's undefeated right now, right, Crawford?
Yes, undefeated.
At what point does he turn into a big pay-per-view draw? I feel like this fight with Porter was his first pay-per-view that I can recall in a little while. I feel like he'd been fighting on ESPN there with their deal with this Top Rank.
Top Rank. Yeah.
He's been fighting on there for a while.
A lot of rumor and innuendo saying that he's leaving Top Rank. Bob Arum has said in the past it's very hard to promote Crawford. He doesn't always get the fights because, nobody wants to fight the guy. So there's a lot of talk about him leaving. If he does leave, that does give an opportunity for the Earl Spence thing to happen because Earl Spence fights over on Fox Sports. That's what we would like to see. Mark Stein says, do you think his dad was premature in the stoppage? No, I don't think that was premature. Everybody knew what was coming. The knockout was about to happen, and it was going to be bad. Nobody's a better finisher in boxing than Terrence Bud Crawford, and the finish was coming. His dad saved him. Now, the reason his dad gave, saying that he didn't like his preparation, that was a real tacky and just foul way to step on your son. Like, it just wasn't nice. I think you could have just said, hey, we knew what was coming. Bud's the better fighter. It was going to be the finish. I didn't like the way his dad handled that situation. It's a little bit unfortunate because his dad didn't have to go to war. It was, Porter that did.
Yeah, so did you watch anything else on Saturday? Did you catch any college football? Have you stopped watching college football because of Texas?
So I've decided that I will no longer put my full heart into supporting Texas anymore. I get set up year after year. Texas is not back. We may never be back. I don't think that's the case. I've always had a side girl with Ohio State just because I've always liked them. Yeah, but my whole family's Texas, so I've always been a supporter. So the side girls starting to become my main girl a little more. And it's a little weird to say because I'm no bandwagon guy. I don't like to do that too much, but you can't deny Ohio State and their consistency, even with coaching changes.
They looked good yesterday, man. They blew the brakes off of Michigan State. They were up like 42-0 at halftime or something like that, or midway through the second
quarter. They covered their team total in the first half, Roland.
Yeah.
It was quite impressive performance.
And honestly, I think that was probably the best performance I've seen from a team not named like Georgia or Bama this year. I think it might have been better than anything I've seen from Bama this year, honestly. When you talk about the performance that Ohio State put out there, I'm in love with the receivers. I like receivers, and they got a trio over there that's pretty hard to stop. So I know Georgia has that. Roland. I said I know Georgia has that vaunted defense that is giving up about like 5 points a game. So definitely want to see what happens if those two meet up.
Mark says you got to mess with the mistress. So that receiving core that you were talking about from Ohio State, their fourth best receiver transferred to Alabama this year, and he's their best receiver now. So that receiving core, you still got Julian Fleming, who doesn't even get any starts at Ohio State, number one recruit out of high school, just because that receiving core is so good. Olave could have been maybe a top 15 pick last year. Doesn't go to the draft. He's a super senior now, so it's something. They got a good receiving core. They got a great offense. Yeah. With C.J. Stroud, might have just won the Heisman yesterday with that performance too.
All right, man. Well, Saturday was pretty good. It was college football, college basketball, and I think what other sport do we have going on? UFC and boxing. So pretty
big news for Manchester United fans, though, Roland. I know we're going to have some relief. New coach coming our way.
Ole getting sacked. I know they had tied Zidane to Manchester United a couple of weeks ago. He had said that if the job opened up, he would accept it. I don't know if that automatically leads to jobs, because you know how the European media and tabloids are when it comes to sports. It's just pure rumors, and that'll make the front page of any given newspaper over there. So kind of got to take it with a grain of salt, but there's some change needed there. The players, I think the talent to compete, at least in the Premier League, is there. I don't know if it's good enough to win a Champions League team, but they're there to compete and be in the top four in the Premier League and maybe compete for the cup if they get hot. But just watching them on a weekly basis, it just looked like they were lackadaisical. Like there's just no effort being given. And I think a lot of that kind of has to do with the coaching at that level. The guys just probably weren't buying in at that point.
A lot of players who should have been starting were sitting. I mean, Sancho couldn't see the field for a while, and that's the one that's not acceptable to me.
Yeah, that confused me the most. Is why Sancho is just being used as a 70th minute guy, and on. It's kind of annoying.
All right, let's do this. Week 11, guys. That's what we're here for. Sunday morning sit down. Roland, tell us about the weather this week. What do we have? Any games in particular that you can see some issues? No, we had some bad wind last week, and we saw some missed field goals because of it. Anything like that this week?
There's some high winds throughout the league. Nothing too crazy. Kansas City, they always have high winds. At Dallas Cowboys, Kansas City Chiefs game being played at Arrowhead. It's about 13-mile-per-hour winds, but the weather looks good otherwise. Not too much rain to look out for unless you're in that Lions and Browns game. And they got some winds as well. So the Lions are already without Jared Goff. I know they're missing Jamal Williams, their backup running back. We'll get into the injury report right now. But that could potentially be a low-scoring game. The Browns without some weapons as well, although they do return Nick Chubb. So that could be a little bit of a slugfest there in Cleveland. But nothing really sticks out to me. I don't think any totals are going to be affected that much other than maybe the two games that we talked about. But even in the Cowboys and Chiefs games, those offenses are lethal. So they'll probably get through it anyways. The win's nothing to worry about there.
Sounds good. Moving on to the injury report.
Yeah, the injury report, a little bit of the same, some new names sprinkled in there, a little bit of the same. I'm talking about DeAndre Hopkins and Chase Edmonds. They both remain out for the Cardinals. If you look down at the list, Kyler Murray, he's a true game time decision. He's questionable. They haven't ruled him out yet. They're going to look and see how he looks in the pregame warmups. Amari Cooper and Tyron Smith, they're both out for the Cowboys. Amari Cooper, he contracted COVID-19, so he's out for this game and the next.
And
I
Thursday,
believe.
that's terrible.
Yeah, so bad break for the Cowboys there. Bad break for Amari Cooper fantasy owners if you still have him. Tyron Smith, again, he's out. So we've seen how the left tackle spot has looked for the Cowboys without Tyron Smith in the back. Does that give you any particular worry, Justin?
You know, the way we played it against the Falcons, not the Falcons, Broncos, he was out that game, right?
Yep.
And that looked bad, but the way we rebounded against the Falcons and the way they played the scheme that way, blocking, that was a much better bounce back. We got to attack it the same way, I believe.
Yeah, so I'm looking for much at that left tackle spot all game. I want to see the adjustments that we have, see how much Zeke stays in as a pass blocker in this game. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. Some more names that are the same, although it looked like this guy might have returned at some point this week. Alvin Kamara, he remains out for another week with that knee injury. I think he logged to practice in the beginning of the week. People thought things were looking up, but then all of a sudden took a turn for the worse, and he didn't practice the rest of the week, and he got himself designated out for today. So look for Mark Ingram to continue carrying the ball for them. And they did activate Troy Jones. I think that's his name. He had went to the IR earlier in the season. He was the initial backup for Alvin Kamara. He is activated for this game. So depending how long Alvin Kamara is out and what Mark Ingram does, maybe Jones. I don't know if it's Troy or Tony Jones Jr. I know it's Jones Jr. though. He might be a nice little stash if you pick him up. And Taron Armstead, another left tackle, is out for them. So not a good sign when your left tackle's out. That could potentially lead to a sloppy game, and we'll see. They find themselves
out. It's tough
they find themselves on the road against the Eagles today. So we'll see. Antonio Brown, he remains out, and we'll talk about him a little bit later, but he finds himself in the news again for something unrelated to his injury. Marquis Brown, his cousin, he got ruled out later in the week, around Thursday or Friday, I think it was, or it might have even been yesterday that I got the news that he was out, but he has a thigh injury, so he's going to be out for today. And we had a question from Louis earlier about Lamar. We have him here on the list as a game time decision. He has showed up to the stadium. It looks like he's going to give it a go from reports that are out there. It says he's going to give it a go in practice, but I do want to say if you have a backup that's viable, keep him ready to go because they're saying that he does not look like himself today. So even if he starts, he hasn't logged to practice all week. I know it's against the Bears. They're without Khalil Mack. So you're thinking he's your workhorse, you got to go, but I would have some backup plans ready to go for Lamar Jackson in case he does not play. Moving on, Aaron Jones, he remains out. So if you got Dylan, load him up again. Jared Goff and Jamal Williams, they're both out for the Lions. They are on the road against the Browns. So the quarterback for the Lions, who's loading up to go, I think he in his career since college, or his career in college, he threw more interceptions than touchdowns. And then since he's been in the NFL, he really has not been that good.
Did you know that he actually never had a winning season in college? I'm not sure how he's still in the NFL.
It's just one of those things where, exactly, Justin, where you wonder how guys like this are in the NFL. But I guess you need a backup. But the crazy thing is, at some point, you may have to play this guy, so it might bite you in the ass at some point. So we'll see what happens. Jared Goff, though, I mean, has led his team to a winless record, so maybe things will get better. TJ Watt, Minka Fitzpatrick, and Joe Hayden. It looks like all three of those guys are out for the Steelers defense. They are in the Monday night or the Sunday night game against the Chargers. That's going to be a good matchup. I know Big Ben is active for that game. Jeremy McNichols, he's on the injury report here. Not a huge name, but with Derrick Henry's injury, a couple of guys had to step up. He was one of the guys. He was like the pass catching back out of all of them. He's out. So if you have Foreman or Peterson, both of those guys are looking like decent starts. So if you need them at like RB2 or maybe a flex shot. And then Logan Ryan, he's out. The only reason why he's on there is because the Giants, they're off. I mean, their defensive secondary is already pretty injured. And he might have been their best player on that secondary in terms of his name. So he's out. So if you have Tom Brady or any of the Buccaneers weapons, I would load him up. It's going to be a field day for them.
Roland, little fun fact. A lot of people thought Big Ben was going to be out this week. He ends up playing. He actually flew on a separate plane than the team did just to make sure no funny business with that COVID issue.
He didn't give anybody else COVID.
Yeah.
That's a good point. And a name that we don't have on the list that I see here in the comments, good point here from Mark. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Looks like he's back. He was on the IR for a couple of weeks. They did activate him last week. They didn't load him up to go for the game, but looks like he's active for this week. So if you've been starting Darrell Williams, that might come to an end, although he might still be a flex shot in deeper leagues. So interesting to see what the backfield situation is going to look like in Kansas City. And then going to the questionables, Elijah Mitchell, I saw somebody talking about it earlier. He's looking like he's doubtful. He's not going to play. He just had surgery on his hand. I don't know why they didn't rule him out earlier, but everybody's going to be questionable nowadays. So they really don't rule him out until the end now. Allen Robinson is looking like he's not going to go. Hamstring injury. He hasn't practiced. Allen Robinson, man, is this it for him? Do you think he's done, or is it just a situation here in Chicago that you got a new young quarterback and not a very good offense, and he just wants to get out?
I'm leaning closer to done than the quarterback situation. I almost think the quarterback situation is a breath of fresh air because of the word I'm looking for. Like, it's eluding me, but it's not the possibility of what it could be, but what is the word? It starts with a P. It's killing me.
P.
Potential. The potential of what Justin Fields could be. I think that's exciting, but I think Allen Robinson is on his way out.
That's what it's looking like, man. I mean, he was never a guy that got much separation. He was always one of those 50-50 ball guys with just sturdy hands. But, man, I've watched a couple of their games, a couple of their drives, and he's not getting open. So I will say, though, he has been overthrown on a lot. And breaking news, yes, I just got the update on my phone. Lamar Jackson has been ruled out. Louis, so your question's answered. He is out for today. It looks like Tyler Huntley is going to get the start. So this might be a little situation here where the Ravens find themselves dropping in the standings if they drop this game. The AFC North is pretty tight.
It's a race right now.
It's a tight race. It's truly anybody's game, and this is a huge blow. I guess I'll say the one positive is this is not COVID. So hopefully Lamar Jackson, you're able to get well, and you're able to recover for next week. But huge blow to the Ravens. We were talking about him on Thursday as being an MVP candidate. So huge blow to that. James Robinson, game time decision. It's looking like he's going to go. He's active. Rob Gronkowski, he's going to go. He hasn't been ruled out. It's a game time decision. I have him as questionable, but it's more likely to play. Kyler Murray, we just talked about him earlier. He's questionable, game time decision. Saquon Barkley, interesting name. He's a true game time decision. He plays on Monday. I think he's going to go. The Giants need him. He hasn't played in a couple of weeks. He hasn't been ruled out, so that's a good sign. We'll see. Zach Wilson, I just have him on there as doubtful because Joe Flacco's starting this week, and we got to talk about the Jets. So that's the injury report. What's a big thing for you on here, Justin?
Oh, just Amari Cooper being out and our left tackle being out. Kind of getting used to Tyron Smith getting out now. I think this year's draft, you're going to have to look at a replacement some way. I think Smith can still give you a year or two, but it's time to find the next one up.
And that was my question to you, and I'm glad you brought it up because I kind of forgot about the question. I was thinking about it when I was putting together the slides. Is this it also for Tyron Smith? Like, do you think his days – can you still call him a top 10 left tackle? I know he – for a long time, I don't know how many years, but it was at least 5 years. He was considered the best left tackle in all of football.
Yeah. I think you could still maybe put him in the top 10 when he's healthy. He's still very good. He doesn't give up a lot. I just don't think as far as signing a new contract with a big number behind it is in his future anymore. I think if we can get maybe a 2-year deal on the next contract while we look for that replacement, I think that's a possibility. But no, it's no 4 or 5 year. That's out of the picture for him.
Yeah, no, I don't think we're inclined to sign him for another 5 years as well. I agree. I think he will finish his career off as a Cowboy, but it is sad to see him going out like this with injuries. I know the neck had bothered him a lot the past couple of years. I think now it's the back that's starting to go a little bit. So that's the sign of an aging tackle, those injuries. So hopefully Tyron, they're taking the rest approach and they're not going to push it. And hopefully we have him for the
Evan
playoffs.
Neal, that's a name to look out for.
And Lyle
he'll
Collins,
be going up early
is he
though.
playing?
Well, I think if they're going to do the whole with the Steele Collins, they flip him, then he'll see some time. I don't know if you noticed, but we've been playing our backup, left guard at fullback a lot lately.
Mm-hmm.
Heavy set on the blocking formations for the running back.
We'll see. A lot of Zeke Elliott in pass block today, I think.
Yeah.
So we'll see. All right, news and notes before we get into the fantasy questions. I know I see a couple of them already from Mark. Thank you for the questions. We'll get to them right now. But some news and notes. The Patriots moved to 7-4 on Thursday night. Do you consider them a legit threat in the AFC, Justin? Just real quick.
Absolutely, because what I consider the AFC is not as deep as the NFC is with the top teams in the NFC. I like the Bills. I like the Titans in the AFC. Ravens, when they're at full strength, you can throw them in the mix. So Patriots absolutely do have a chance here. They can mess around and find themselves making a playoff run here. Team starting to rally. Mac Jones, he's not throwing for anything past 300 yards, of course, but you don't have to with that system of the Patriots. You can throw a 200-yarder and win the game.
And he's accurate. He's on time. We talked about that on Thursday. He's hardly out of rhythm. They have a top 5 offensive line. And they're not asking him to do too much in terms of his throwing depth. Like you're just talking about, he's not beating people with a deep ball or throwing 300 yards. They got a solid offense, solid defense. And like Justin said, the AFC is not that deep. So I do consider them better than the Titans at this point because I think they've been outperforming expectations since
Derrick Henry's
gone down. I'm not sure. I have to look at the schedule, but they might match up in the playoffs. So we'll see. Trayvon Diggs on pace to break the single-season INT mark, which has stood for about 70 years at 14 interceptions. Although I want to say that record was set in a 12-game schedule. Just want to throw that out there over 70 years ago. Is he on pace to become the next island? Like people are going to start calling it Diggs Island, and people are going to want to stay away from him, or is he just like a ball hawking guy that seems to get INTs?
I wish he was an island guy, an island boy. But no, he's a ball hawking guy. He does give up a lot, gets burnt a little bit, but then makes up for it with a big play when needed. And I can live with that. But he does give up a lot of yards. He does.
I would like to see us take another corner, like we originally intended to this past draft. You are right, Justin. He is a ball hawking guy. He has great recovery skills, and you see his former wide receiver skills paying off on a weekly basis. He did start off as a wide receiver at Alabama before changing over to corner. And I don't know if it was you that was telling me the story, or I read it somewhere that he cried when they switched him over to corner.
Yeah.
Like
he cried, called Nick Sape he tried to call his brother, and his brother was like, "Good, he knows what's best for you."
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see. I hope he breaks the record. That'd be pretty cool. Although you got to give props. I moved off the internet, off the website where I pulled up the record, but to be able to have 14 picks in 12 games, props to the guy who set the record. That's pretty insane. Bears 100% on board with Justin Fields. All that I read in the media these past couple of weeks is a love fest with Justin Fields, primarily for Matt Nagy. Do you think that they're going to keep him around for continuity with this guy, or are they going to throw him out the window?
If they don't throw him out the window by next week, it will be too late. This guy was so reluctant to start Fields. He wanted to keep going with his guy. That is no excuse. Fields should have been starter day one. He's shown he can play in the NFL. I think in a way, Matt Nagy was acting like, maybe if I start this guy, they give me another year to say, hey, we didn't start the right guy, because, he was kind of cushioning the blow a little bit.
Trying to hedge his bets. Yeah.
But no, Matt Nagy needs to go, and I'm sorry, but he's not a head coach.
Yeah, I don't think they're winning. I don't think they're winning because of Matt Nagy. I think they're winning in spite of him. I don't think he's that terrible of a coach as everybody is making him out to be. When Justin Fields came on board and he was struggling, everybody was kind of blaming Nagy. I think a lot of that was like rookie growing pains. Like, Justin Fields just came into the NFL. What do you expect, right? He wasn't getting any of the first team reps during the preseason, so he was going to start off a little rough. But he is showing that he is every bit worth of that first round pick that he was earlier this year. Antonio Brown, potential fake vaccination card. Nothing being said by the team. They said they didn't find any abnormalities when they looked at the card. He's being outed by his chef, which he's in like a lawsuit with right now. Do you think he's going to get the Aaron Rodgers treatment?
It's if he gets outed and he doesn't have the vax, yeah, he's going to get Aaron Rodgers treatment.
All right.
This is a crazy situation with the chef and all that's going down with Antonio Brown. With Bucks, you thought he had turned a corner as far as his personal life has gone. Keeping things under the wrap, keeping them under control, living with Tom Brady for an extensive amount of time to just, focus on football. But Antonio Brown's going to Antonio Brown outside the locker, outside the field, and it just sucks because this guy's so talented, yet he still has so many things coming at him outside of the field, man.
Yeah, it's crazy to see this story. Not much of a surprise, though, to see Antonio Brown kind of gotten used to it over the years. Hopefully, though, it doesn't affect him from coming back. They don't suspend him or anything, because they didn't do that with Aaron Rodgers. Anyways, let's get on to fantasy football, man. We got some questions. Let's get to some questions. This is an old question. We can disregard that. I didn't take that off. My bad. We got a question here for Mark. Tony or Bateman as his wide receiver 3. I'm assuming this is a PPR. We just announced Bateman. His quarterback is out, and Lamar Jackson. I would go Tony here. I think he's going to have a nice week. I think Sterling Shepard is out. I was looking at some of the reports earlier. So Tony's going to step up. Give me Tony here.
I'm with you on that. Just by the fact that your starting quarterback's out, you're not sure exactly what the backup can do. Go Tony. And I actually like Tony, though.
Yeah,
and
I like Tony.
And the Bucs secondary has shown they're not that great this year. So that's another shot that, you got something working for you. You got a reason at least now.
It's like another week goes by and another guy gets added to the IR from the Bucs secondary. So banged up too. Starting guys probably off the street. Diego has a question. Damian Williams or risk it and play Saquon Barkley? That's a tough one. Damian Williams, Montgomery's back. Unless you're talking about Darnell Williams or Darrell Williams from the Chiefs. Shoot. If it's Darrell Williams, I might just go Darrell Williams, because the thing with Barkley is he's the Monday night game.
Aren't both these backs listed as doubtful, though?
I'm pretty sure Diego means Darrell Williams, because I think he asked a similar question with Darrell Williams and he got him confused. But Saquon Barkley, he's questionable. I'm trying to pull up some stuff to see if I can find any recent news on him.
Okay, Darrell is definitely the guy he's talking about, not Damien. Damien is listed as doubtful. Darrell, I'm not sure what's his situation as far as health.
I would
He's going to be splitting with Allaire now that Allaire's back.
I would go Saquon. He's returning. They say he's trending towards a return. Depending on your situation, it is risky. If you don't really need Saquon back, like Justin just said, he might be okay. See, he's got Booker. That's a tough one. I would start one of the I don't know.
Start the healthy option that you know is going to start for sure.
Start the healthy option. Yeah, I would go with Darrell Williams.
You don't want to be caught Monday night and guess what? Game time. I'm going to rest one more week and now you missed a starter and you're down a few points.
Yeah, I would go Darrell Williams. I think even though Hilaire's coming back, they said he's looked good in practice. I don't think Darrell Williams is going to completely lose everything. So we'll see. I think the Cowboys, let me see how their defense fares.
Against the run.
Against the running backs. Real quick. The Cowboys, their rush defense has been susceptible lately. I mean, they've given up to fantasy running backs 18, 28, 8, and 26 points, and 13, although that was against
players out on the D-line as well. So
in the last 5 games. So I think one of those, I'll go Darrell Williams here, just to play it safe. He might fall into the end zone, and he's still involved in the passing game, I think. So wouldn't be too scared about that.
Roland, is there anything else for fan mailbag for the week?
No, I don't think so. Let me see if we got anything else in the comments.
If not, we can move on to our must starters of the week while we're looking at that. Just for me, my must start of the week, CeeDee Lamb. I know that seems a little obvious, but I have a reason for it. You know, Amari Cooper out. He's going to be out this week and Thursday. So if you have him, you're going to be able to load him up twice. CeeDee Lamb seems to find himself in the end zone week after week. I think there's points to be had there. I know in a deeper league, it's an obvious start, but maybe in a smaller league, you can put other receivers, look towards CeeDee Lamb, even if you're in a smaller league with less teams.
Nice. I like that one, especially when you talk about Amari Cooper being out. Gotta go there. My start of the week, I want to go with Darnell Mooney. I think he might be a flex play or maybe wide receiver 3 for a lot of guys. Allen Robinson is out. Darnell Mooney's been heating up the past couple of weeks. He's been involved in the run game a little bit. Got a touchdown against I think it was the Niners when they played. And they play against the Ravens this week. And the Ravens secondary has not been that good since week 7. They've given up 36, 22, 24. 36, 22, and 24 the past 3 weeks.
That's a great pick.
So I'll go with Darnell Mooney here. Maybe if you're playing some DraftKings, he might be a nice little dart throw, cheaper little option at wide receiver. So I go Darnell Mooney. And for Ben, he gave us his pick. He's going with Myles Gaskin. He's going up against the Jets. I think they have the worst run defense. Myles Gaskin is starting to get some love in that Miami Dolphins offense as the lead back. He's involved in the pass game. Since week 7, they've given up 34, 32, 21, and 48 against – I'm looking against wide receivers. Hold on. Let me pull up the running backs.
Gaskin hasn't been a bust for the beginning of the year, but this last, 3 weeks, he has come on.
Yeah, so since week 7 against running backs, the Jets have given up 54 points total, 22 points total, 48 points total, and 33 points total since week 7. So Myles Gaskin, another guy that could be a potential flex start, running backs 2 start, or DraftKings option. A good pick there from Ben. Yes, Mark, we did get to it. We both chose Tony. Lamar Jackson's out. You're looking at Tyler Huntley throwing the ball. They're probably going to rely on the run game, and all that I've seen of Huntley since he's been in the league is he's not very good. So I'll go with Tony here, even though it is Monday night. No worries, Mark. So yeah, we're going Tony there instead of Bateman. Although Bateman had been trending up, and with Lamar Jackson back, he could be a nice flex option down the stretch.
Getting towards our betting segment for the week, We did end up receiving Ben's plays, so these are not Ben's plays for this week. Those are for his last week, but I do have his plays for this week. I'll go through them real fast. Ben has the Dolphins at -3.5, Packers -1.5, and Seahawks at -3 for the week. Those are Ben's plays. Roland, you want to go over Ron's plays real quick?
Yeah, I'll go over Ron's. These are actually his plays. I hope these are his plays. He gave me 5, and I just took his first 3. So, Ron, if you're out there in the comments, let me know if I missed anything or if you wanted another play. But without further ado, Ron is on the Cowboys at +3. The Cardinals +3. That's the opposite of Ben's pick. Ben's on Seattle -3 at home. Ron is probably betting that Kyler Murray's coming back today. So, like we said in the injury report, he's a game-time decision. They still are without DeAndre Hopkins, but I think Kyler might give it a go. Although they may play it safe, they are going into a bye next week, but I know they want to win the division, and they're in that race with the Rams. So I think Kyler may come back just because they view the Seahawks as a weak team. So who knows? And he is also on the Packers, although when I looked at the line, it was -1, so I put that down for him. Oh, actually, no, I just missed the 0.5. That's an error on my point. He's on the Packers -1.5. And I'll just go through mine real quick. I'm on the Eagles -2.5 against the Saints. No Kamara. The Eagles are at home. The Eagles are heating up a little bit. They're 4-2 in their last 6 against the spread. Jalen Hurts is playing a little bit better. I had a little bit of debate with my second pick here towards the end, but I ended up just keeping it on there because I did like Ben's pick of the Dolphins. That was the game I was looking at against the Jets. You get the Joe Flacco matchup. I might be betting that personally, but I am on the Browns -13. It's a big spread, but you're playing against the Lions, against a quarterback that the Browns should just absolutely fleece. If the Browns don't win this game by 20, man, Baker doesn't. I mean, it's not all on Baker, but they get Nick Chubb back. Baker needs to have a decent game.
No excuse for this.
Yeah, no excuse for this game. The Browns need to show out here. This is the second time that I've taken the Browns on a double-digit spread. I took them in week 1 against the Texans. Didn't work out for me. But I am taking them here again against the Lions. So
no, you couldn't have taken them in week 1 against the Texans. Week 1 against the Texans was Jaguars-Texans.
No, it wasn't.
Isn't that their only win? The first week 1?
Shoot.
Might be. But either way, second time you've taken them.
I've taken them once before. Yeah, I've taken them once before. Yeah. And then I'm rounding it out with the Bengals -1.5 against the Las Vegas Raiders. I think the Bengals, they're coming off of a bye, if I'm not mistaken. They're 6-1 against the spread in their last 7 games against the Raiders. And they're good at recovering. The Bengals, they're 5-1 against the spread after dropping their last game. So give me the Bengals. I like them here in this game. They're in a tough matchup. A tough division race, just like the Raiders are. But the Raiders, as we've seen in the past, this group of guys that they have, they fade in the second half. So I'm betting on the Bengals here. Give me a Joe Burrow game and some Jamar Chase love.
All right, for my picks, we're seeing some plus signs for the first time in quite a while.
I like it.
Steelers, this is not an easy pick. This is probably what I'm going to be sweating quite a bit. You got 3 guys on the defense who are out, but being that Big Ben is back, I said, you know what, 6. I think they can keep it within a field goal, maybe even win the game. I think the Chargers are starting to become a little bit of a pretender team. They give up a lot to the tight end. I expect Freiermuth to go out a little bit today and maybe grab a touchdown, maybe even 2. I just hate that there's 3 guys out, TJ Watt, Minkah Fitzpatrick, and Joe Hayden, right? Or who else is out on the Steelers defense?
Joe Hayden.
Yeah, it's a lot to give up.
The Chargers get back Joey Bosa as well.
Yeah.
Although
there's a reason the line's at +6, but I'm just comfortable enough to take it.
For sure. And, the Chargers defense, they are susceptible to the run. We know Najee has been freaking a touch god. He's been touching the ball. He's on pace to have over 400 touches this year. See a heavy dosage of Najee coming up against the Chargers. And like Justin was saying, the Chargers do look like a little bit of pretenders. So go on with your pictures.
Again, second pick, it's always going to be the Cowboys on my card every week, week in, week out. Homer pick, you can call it. Doesn't matter. Cowboys will be on my card. I'm loyal to the Cowboys. Cowboys DC for life. +3. I think they win the game. I don't think I think we can beat Kansas City. We've gone, we're going to be hurting without Tyron Smith, but we've gone without Dak, went into Minnesota, found a way to win. This team is resilient. We did lay that one dud against the Broncos that Ben will not give up, but it was just one time. I think we're a good team.
I think we're a good team too. I am, though, a little worried, not so much about the Amari Cooper thing, because sneaky, I'm not saying he's as good as Amari Cooper, but we do get Gallup back. So that kind of lessens the blow, right, of losing Amari Cooper. And Cedric Wilson has been playing pretty good. So I'm not so much worried about the Amari Cooper loss, but
you got Noah Brown in there too. He's doing not so bad as well. There's guys there. Gallup's back. I mean,
Tyron Smith kind of worries me, though. We've seen how they look without our left tackle. Hopefully they can hold the fort, because I want to see a good game. I want to see the Cowboys win that +3. I teased. I think they're a good option as well. If you can tease them to +10, that's probably going to be one of the only times you can do it the rest of the year. And I don't see them getting blown out. So we'll see.
And then last pick is Green Bay -1.5. They are playing in Minnesota. Aaron Rodgers, a little banged up, as Roland has told me, turf toe injury. I just still like them. I think Minnesota can be beat even at home. Cowboys did it with a backup. Why not Aaron Rodgers in a divisional game? True. It's only -1.5. I think they can win this by a field goal or more. So this was a pick for me that I feel comfortable with.
Packers defense is sneaky good. They're not like, they don't have any big names. They're not doing anything crazy like getting pick sixes every game or anything crazy like that. But they're holding the fort, and they've been pretty stout for years, and people don't usually talk about them. But they're a pretty good defense. I like that.
They gave up what's this guy's name? The one that they signed from the Cowboys, the middle linebacker. He only lasted a week with them. They don't play games. Jalen Smith didn't work out. He's out. I mean, simple as that. Packers are going to try to make it to the NFC Championship again, but I think they'll be dethroned once again.
Before we get to the teaser, Mark has another question. Do you go Tony over Pittman, knowing that Pittman is going against the Bills secondary? I think that's a pretty good question, because the Bills secondary, they really haven't been beaten much this year. They've given up 3 total receiving touchdowns this year. Pittman, I know he is the number one option for the Colts and for Wentz. So, I mean, if you're that comfortable with going Tony over Pittman, because Pittman is usually, I mean, for most guys' rosters, a set-and-forget-it guy. But if you're flipping it around, I don't know, man. If you have solid receivers other than Tony and Pittman, and you're able to make that decision, maybe you go Tony, knowing that the Bucs have a tough defense in terms of the running, in terms of stopping the running game. Man, I don't know, man. What do you think, Justin? I'd probably go Tony.
Yeah, I go Tony here too. Bills, like you said, not giving up a lot as far as the reception touchdowns, and you're going to a receiver option here. It's not like a flex option. And then the other thing is, you got to consider that secondary of the Bucs. The Bucs secondary is all-time bad right now. I think Tony can eat. He's the kind of guy that gets you a lot of run after catch. You have to look towards Tony, in my opinion.
This is wide receiver 3. So if this is your wide receiver 3, then yeah, go Tony for this week. Although Pittman has been playing more like a 2 and a 1 on these past couple of weeks, but bad matchup, bad matchup.
It just comes down to matchups, like you said. Yeah. That Bucs secondary, everyone has exposed him. Why not Tony, who can really move after the catch and get some extra yardage for you?
Yeah, so the teaser of the day, I think I lost the teaser last week, so I think on the year I'm right at 5-5 for these teasers. So I started off hot, have not had the best luck these past few weeks from maybe.
I actually think you're above 500.
Shoot, maybe I hit last week. I don't know, because I went 2-1 against the spread last week, so I may have hit last week. I need to check the slides, but I'm either 5-5 or 6-4. I know that for a fact. Yeah. But anyways, going on, teaser of the day, I'm on the Bears +11 and the Vikings +8. I'm going to play into no Lamar Jackson. I want to keep in mind, I did take this before the Lamar Jackson news was official. I took this when he was questionable. I took it this morning. So the line may have changed a little bit. This is a 7-point teaser. So I got him from the +4 that they were at earlier this morning took them up to 11. And the Vikings, I took them from the +1 up to +8. I think this is going to be a field goal game.
Yeah.
I'm taking into consideration the Aaron Jones injury, although AJ Dillon has looked good, and the Aaron Rodgers injury, because I think in the past we've seen Aaron Rodgers when he's immobile, he's a little bit limited. He's been moving around the pocket pretty well. He's looked like his old self, but we've seen him with these type of injuries before, whether it's been the ankle or the foot. And I think he's going to be slowed down a little bit. I could be wrong and they blow him out, but I like these numbers. Give me +11, +8 for these guys.
Yeah, at +8, it looks good. This could definitely be just a field goal win as time expires in the fourth, the way Rodgers tends to do. So I think it's divisional game. Divisional games are usually not big blowouts. I think +8 is a very viable option here. I think you got good numbers here. Moving on to a little 2-team parlay I cooked up with Roland. It's the Bills and the Panthers. It's +105. Again, you can find this at the one and only BetKing Online. Guys, these numbers are available through BetKing. If you have any questions about getting hooked up with a book, here's your chance. Use promo code WTBS. They're available Monday through Sunday, every day of the week. You can text their Twitter, DM them, or you can ask us about it, and we can get you connected. There is a promo code to be used, and you get a little bonus. And they're offering extra bonuses with crypto. If you have a Bitcoin, Litecoin, whatever you have, you deposit their crypto, they give you a little extra for that.
Crow, CRO. That's another good one. Yeah. Just want to throw that out. But I do like this one. The Panthers are going up against the Washington football team, who did just beat the Bucs last week. But I do think that was an anomaly. The Bucs they had a bad game, a couple turnovers early in the game, went the Washington football team's way. And a couple of trends here I do want to call out on this game real quick, because I do like this pick particularly. I will be putting this in a parlay. The Washington football team, they're 1-4 against the spread, their last 5 games. And Panthers are 4-1 at home against the Washington football team in their last 5 games. So Washington football team, I mean, the Panthers do have their number the past couple of years. It's an old matchup of Ron Rivera versus Cam Newton.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
said he had something special for Newton.
Dang. So we'll see. We know there's no Chase Young again for another week. He's out with a torn ACL. But yeah, that's our parlay. Hopefully it cashes. I like it. It's a plus money one. They're both favorites, but it still comes out to plus money, so that's nice. These are our socials: Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. You can find us anywhere. Did I miss one? Instagram. We're on there too.
TikTok, even
TikTok. Although we have not been as active on there. Might get active with the NBA season coming on, and maybe during the playoffs with some TikTok plays with the NFL. But we've really just been focused on Thursdays these past couple weeks. Justin, anything else you got for the people this week?
No, nothing. Just excited about the week. Excited about this college football landscape. Like we predicted, like you said, who was most likely to lose? Oregon. They lost. They lost big against Utah. Hopes are out for them. Cincinnati's knocking on the door. It's time to find out. Does the committee like a 2-teamer loss Alabama over Cincy or not? We'll find out soon.
That Michigan is going to play Ohio State this next week.
Oh, yeah.
Although there might not be much to worry about for Ohio State, because they, like we said in the podcast on Thursday, they own Michigan. And they just got off maybe their most dominant performance of the year. So I don't see Ohio State losing that game. Michigan's probably going to drop out. Notre Dame, I know Ben has been calling their name. They're probably going to move up too, just losing ahead of them.
Yep.
I want to ask you, do you see Notre Dame jumping Cincinnati, or do you like Cincinnati's victory against SMU yesterday? It gives you some confidence. It was a dominant victory.
I like Cincinnati's win over Notre Dame. They beat Notre Dame, so I don't think they should jump. So, and you shutting out SMU is no joke. That's a big win. You wanted style points. So Cincinnati said, "Here they are."
Let me ask, because the argument that people are trying to make is like, "Oh well," and I'll have an answer to, but I want to ask you is, you saw Michigan jump Michigan State. Why can't Notre Dame jump Cincinnati? But I only think jumped over Michigan State because Michigan State dropped their very next game. A lot of times it's when you lose. We've seen that in the past. When you lose versus who you lose against. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so Cincinnati, if it was now, no doubt Notre Dame would jump over Cincinnati. But if Cincinnati stays undefeated, I think you got to go with Cincinnati.
Yeah, I do too as a purist, but at the end of the day, the committee does look at the numbers. They look at the team's following. They look at name brand value. That's a buzzword they like to use. And they put teams at the fourth spot that maybe a UCF from the past who maybe deserve to be there doesn't get there because they don't have name brand value. Notre Dame's one of the biggest names in college football. It would be hard-pressed not to consider them over a Cincinnati who is just not in the conference that Notre Dame's not even in the conference, but they play elite teams throughout the year. But you know what I'm saying is that they don't carry the weight that a Notre Dame name carries, especially with TV deals and traveling schedules, like all that comes into play when they're considering teams.
Well, I hope the fact that Notre Dame's not in a conference comes to bite them in the butt when it comes down to Selection Sunday or whatever they call it, because they don't have a conference championship game, and I think Cincinnati's going to get one more time to show how dominant they are, maybe within their own group. So hopefully,
and I'm surprised they haven't joined a conference role. In basketball, they're in a conference.
Yeah, and I think it's because if they join the conference for the ACC, they'll lose out on their rights because the ACC has their own network. And they would lose out on some money there. So I don't know if it's worth it to them to go into a
conference.
Got
the big NBC.
I do know, since we're on college football and before we log off, I do got to say, birds up. Go
finding ways to win in the game late.
Game against UAB. Find ways to win. Another buzzer
tough game last week too.
Tough game last week as well. Took it down to the wire. They had a tough game against Western Kentucky. They went down to the wire where they had a goal line stop. This time they score on the goal line. They stay undefeated. They're at 11-0. UAB is probably the best team that they played since Memphis. They were 7-4 and the previous division winners. So shout out UTSA. They lock up out of the CUSA. They're going to the CUSA championship game. Hopefully they win it 12-0 and see what goes on from here. Hopefully, meet. Shout out, Frank Harris, their quarterback, Sincere McCormick, running back, and I think his name Oscar Cardenas. I think I might be messing his first name, but San Antonio guy caught the game-winning touchdown yesterday. So,
what's the receiver's name? Number 4, the beast for UTSA.
Shoot, number 4. He made some big plays the game that I went to.
So good, bro.
Yeah, number 4 is pretty good. Let me see. Let me see. I'm pulling it up. Franklin Zakari.
Yes.
Yeah. Franklin
Monster
Zakari.
receiver.
Yeah. Talented receiver for sure. UTSA, good for them. They just had their largest crowd in school history, over 35,000 packed the Alamo Dome. They opened up the third level for the first time in UTSA history. So big things happening for UTSA. Definitely a big move for them. And the thing that people have been saying here in San Antonio is it's not just UTSA. It's San Antonio's team. Because we don't have a pro team here in SA. So the whole city of San Antonio has really gotten behind UTSA, and it shows. Over 35,000 people packed the Alamo Dome yesterday. So shout out UTSA on that comeback. And again, they might be hope. That's why I'm rooting so hard for Cincinnati, because if Cincinnati makes the Final Four, UTSA might be in play for that New Year's Bowl. If they've remained the highest ranked non Power 5 team.
Hey, whenever you're playing past the New Year, that's the money, and that's good for UTSA sports.
If you're on the New Year's Day bowl game, shoot, that would be awesome for UTSA. They might get the brakes blown off of them as they play against like a super legit team because, like you said, they've had some close games. But anything is possible in college football. I'd still be rooting for them. And shout out to them. Shout out UTSA. But yeah, that's all I got for this Sunday.
Well, that's it for us. We talking about sports. We'll be back with a podcast on Thursday. Yeah, shout out Frost. We have our podcast from last Thursday up. It was pretty good. A lot of conversation about this Chiefs Cowboys game. If you haven't caught it, go catch it. Ben and Roland, they came to blows over is Dak or Prescott the guy. It was an awesome one to hear from my perspective. I loved it.
Dak needs his respect. That's all that it is.
Give the man his flowers, Roland.
Yeah, needs to get his respect. I mean, he coming back from a blown ankle, so I got to give Dak his flowers. But we're getting into more NBA too. Lakers not looking so good. LeBron came back, dropped their first game back.
They lost in the end against the Celtics.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the graphic that was put up by the Boston side. They're like they paid this guy Russ $44 million. It is what it is. I've come to terms already. It's not our year, and I'm fine with that.
And LeBron, another title?
Not this year.
No, but ever. Because he's ending his career with the Lakers.
No, it's not. It's not. He's going to end his career with the Lakers and then maybe jet the last year, I think, to go play with his son somewhere. 1 year.
It's just crazy because LeBron used to be like the best GM, right? Like he would pack his team. He would find the right little pieces to go, and it would really be him recruiting the guys. Like, I mean, him and D Wade, they started the big three, whether it was D Wade who initiated it or LeBron, whatever. He's been responsible for pulling some good teams together.
Well, he recruited the banana boat, and it's not working out, dog.
And what I'm saying, is he hitched his bag to Russell Westbrook. Unless it was
the wrong boy to hitch it to.
And
the wrong horse.
I'm a huge Russell Westbrook fan. We'll get into this again on Thursday because we're talking more NBA on Thursday. But it's just crazy to hear the reports that they had DeMar DeRozan, but they went towards Russell Westbrook this past offseason.
We blew it.
DeMar would be the guy that they need on this Lakers game. That's the guy that they need.
Oh, yeah.
Man. I could imagine DeMar with LeBron this year because LeBron still looks pretty good, but obviously 36, 37 years old. Not his time, but we'll talk about it on Thursday.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you on Thursday.